sorrow has come great resolve. Today we are a nation awakened to the evil of terrorism and determined to destroy it. That work began the moment we were attacked, and it will continue until justice is delivered.
Well, I think that the American people better prepare themselves for a new reality. I mean, either people are totally supportive of the way the government's behaving with its war-making policies, or they're outraged over it.
The hijackers were instruments of evil who died in vain. Behind them is a cult of evil, which seeks to harm the innocent and thrives on human suffering. Theirs is the worst kind of cruelty. The cruelty that is fed, not weakened, by tears.
The ones that are outraged seem to be surprised. And that surprise seems to be a part of the outrage. And what I think is, that people just better get used to what's coming. Because my own personal opinion is that America is as close to Nazi Germany as close can get.
Here are the aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible.
I think we're in the 1,000-year Reich. I think that thing is for real. I think in World War II, see, I look at it that on this planet there's an industrial Reich, and its bureaucracy is the corporate Nazi.
2, higher and then much higher taxes.
And they create a class of ethnic rich. And this 1,000-year Reich thing is very important to them, because that industrial ruling class that's on this planet, see, everything in the end runs through them. All development and progress.
3, an increasingly unbalanced budget, despite the higher taxes. 4, wild inflation of our currency. 5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6, greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied naturally and automatically by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. 7, far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. 8, the steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. 9, a constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace, peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government, which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself.
And anyway, this industrial Reich, they created a nationalistic...
The consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government, which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself.
And anyway, this industrial Reich, they created a nationalistic Nazi to have World War II, Germany. And they created a nationalistic Nazi to sacrifice for the good of the global Nazi.
So brush the insider's dust out of your eyes, my friends, and the communist soap suds out of your brain, and ask yourselves in all honesty, what on earth is wrong with the United States simply minding its own business?
Because creating the nationalistic Nazi, because remember, Hitler, after World War I, Germany had these heavy restitution charges laid upon, reparations things laid upon them, outrageous reparations things. And then the value of the gold was shifted and changed, so that made the reparations even more after World War I. But yet, between World War I and World War II, Germany had enough money to build this incredible, massive killing machine.
Or with having its foreign policy function primarily for the safety and benefit of the American people. Which is exactly what we had done for the first 140 years of our existence as a nation, to the incredible advantage of ourselves and everybody else. Everybody, that is, except a numerically small clique of power-lusting conspirators who had somehow inflicted themselves on a gullible world.
They had to get that money from somewhere. Somebody had to underwrite all of that, because they were under these heavy debts. So I think the nationalistic Nazi was created because with the creation of the nationalistic Nazi, they altered the economy of Europe. They took them into the jet age, the age of antibiotics, the nuclear age. That war by itself just leapfrogged the Industrial Revolution by light years. Because, you know, like all the stuff that Mengele did with his medical experiments, all the stuff that the German scientists did. When the Americans won, the Americans incorporated them in. Took their knowledge, their views, all of their stuff, incorporated all the knowledge, everything they had learned, the Americans incorporated into their worldview. Somebody gave all these Nazi war criminal sanctuary on the Western Hemisphere in Central and South America. See, so something going on to help. So I think the Nazi thing is a very real thing. I think where we're at now in this 1,000-year Reich venture was that in the 80s, the General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs, which created the World Trade Organization, well, the GATT is made up of 180 nations or so. But one of the things about joining the General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs is that all the member nations have to agree that they will obey the decisions of the World Trade Organization. The decision-making process of the World Trade Organization, all national sovereignties become subservient to this. National sovereignty becomes subservient to these economic decisions made by the World Trade Organization. And the way that filters down, you know, I was wondering, well, how are the American people going to take this when they find out that they won't have the right to demonstrate anymore? How are they going to take it when they find out that they're going to have to take wage cuts, or that they're going to have to give up environmental protections because some organization is going to tell them that they have to? They're not going to accept this. Because as an example, it's like, let's say there's some company in Illinois, and Illinois has these strict environmental standards, but there's a country in Bulgaria that has no environmental standards. So that company can make a lot of money because it doesn't have environmental standards on a global level. The company in Chicago can't compete with the company in Bulgaria. So they appeal, so they take this case to the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization can then turn around and say to the state of Illinois that you have to alter your environmental standards. And the state of Illinois has to do it, because of these other decisions that were made. Now, so I figured, well, most people are going to object to this, and they're going to rebel against it. And then, lo and behold, comes 911. They knock down those towers and attack the Pentagon building, and all of a sudden, you've got the USA Patriot Act. which makes it legal for the government to stop all dissent as it chooses to do so. All they got to do is call it a national security risk or a terrorist threat. And so someday some workers are going to want to go on strike for a better wage, and they're going to be called economic terrorists because they're threatening the economic stability of the corporation or whatever. Or people are going to try to protect the environment, and they'll be called terrorists for it. And all the laws through the Super Patriot Act, all the things are set in motion, which makes it legal for the government to do this. All this is coming. All of this is coming. I'm telling you. You know, it's like they're going back to the Dark Ages. You know, the Dark Ages, the landlord, the royalty, the thief, the serf, the peasant. Going back to that. The disparity between the rich and the poor is getting larger and larger and larger. And as of the year 2000, there were close to 3 million people that were under some kind of custody, from being death row to being wearing an electronic bracelet or just being on probation. By the year 2100, they expect that number to be 33 million people. One of the largest building industries taking place in this country now are prisons. Well, they're building, but yet crime, when you look at crime, even no matter how high it gets and how the crime rates go, see, there seems to be a fluctuation on crime, but they're anticipating a much larger prison population. So that means, I interpret that to mean there are new crimes coming, right? There's going to be a new definition of crime.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
The American people are in for a hard time. See, what the white people of America don't understand is that, see, they were given certain privileges for a couple, 200 or 300 years because their owners, right, their elite needed them to number one, conquer the land, conquer the people, conquer the land, and then attack the land, attack the resources of the land, turn it into material, and have a certain productivity. So they needed the white people to do this. So they had to give them certain privileges. But now it's all gone global. They don't need the white people to do this anymore. They don't need them the same way they needed them before. So they're going to take the privileges away now. I mean, it's happening all over the place. The job, this is connected to the World Trade Organization. This is connected to the GATT. All the companies that are moving out of the U.S. and they're going over where they can hire people to work for $6 a day instead of paying somebody $15 an hour here and give them health insurance. The way this is all unfolding. So white people in America are in for a big surprise. See, the majority of the blacks never got out of poverty. The majority of the blacks never made it out. Majority of the Indians never made it out. Majority of the Hispanics never made it out. They just allow enough of a percentage of us to make the so-called middle class thing, so you have a little makeup on. But the whites were allowed to make it out. Now they're going to get put back in. And when it happens to them, they're going to have a very violent, insane reaction to this. So all in prisons they're building, and all these Super Patriot Act laws that they're passing now, the Sunset Law, all the stuff that they're passing now about the right to spy, the right to pick you up, to call you a terrorist. They don't even need to have, all they got to do is call you a terrorist. They don't have to show any proof. They just got to say it. Well, go read what the Inquisitions were. Do a study of what the Inquisitions were. It's the same thing. It's the very same thing. It just got a different shape. It's just dressed differently now. If you want to know where you're headed as a society, understand the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages of Europe. And then just make this middle transference about, well, add neon to it. Add neon and rubber wheels and air conditioning to it, right? They're going back to that system. That's where it's headed in a major way. And the people of America, they just follow whatever promise they want to hear. They just follow whatever promise they want to hear. And so They've got something coming they're not ready for. They're not psychologically ready for it. They're not mentally ready for it. But those who would oppress us, they never stop. They're relentless. They're building the prisons now to get ready for what we're not ready for. But you know, 30 million people by the year 2100, that'll probably be about 10% of the population.
One, our first and most important specific undertaking should be to restore the complete independence of the United States. This includes our resolution to get us out of the United Nations and get the United Nations out of the United States. Two, we must once again make our money freely redeemable in gold at some realistic price. And we must take all practicable legislative steps to prevent a recurrence of the enormous slavery and other subversive crimes that have been perpetrated on the American people through a contrived inflation by every president from Franklin Roosevelt to Richard Nixon. Three, we should reduce the number of government bureaus, of government civilian employees, and the whole quantity of government by at least 50%. And we should achieve at least this much reduction in proper fashion through gradually convincing a majority of the American people of the wisdom of such a course. Four, we should withdraw all American troops from every spot on earth that is not American soil, except when and where such troops may be required, as decided by Congress, to protect American lives and property from criminal vandalism. Five, we should get government out of the areas and functions and activities where government does not belong. Again, all steps to this end should be taken gradually, but nevertheless just as rapidly as enough of the American people can be persuaded to support such progress. Any such achievement will require a truly massive educational force, but that's exactly what we hope to build during the next 15 years. We could go ahead for at least 100 something items. So let's really wind up this marathon monologue with one final thought. None of us can guarantee anything about what the future will bring. Your speaker knows what a job we have before us to rid our country of the scourge of communism within the next few years, and then to go ahead on our constructive program so well that 15 years from now, we shall already be entering an era of far less government, of a much sounder sense of responsibility, and, with God's help, of a better world. But I sincerely believe that it can be done, and this much I know, that every man and woman in this audience should leave here tonight feeling in his or her own mind and heart that it can and must be done, then it surely will be. While to all of you great, wonderful friends in this present audience, I certainly extend my very deep thanks indeed for so much patience and attention. Thank you.
Because but for this opportunity, you might not hear my voice. I am a voice in the wilderness, but I assure you that history will vindicate me. I assure you that righteousness will prevail. I assure you that no lie can live forever and truth crushed to earth will rise again.